Hello again. We are in our day 3 of Unit 3, and today we're talking about initial value. Another word for that is the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is the location where a line crosses the y-axis, that vertical axis, and each function has only one of these. Sometimes we call our y-intercept the initial value. Oh my goodness. I got it. There we go. The initial value, or the starting point or starting value, because it's a good place to start graphing. The x value of the y-intercept is always 0. So the y-intercept is where our function starts. It's the starting value. It's the perfect spot to start graphing. From story problems, it is the initial starting point. It's where our graph crosses the y-axis. Now there's kind of 4 ways we're going to look at this. We're going to figure out how to find the y-intercept from a table, graph, equation, and a story. And then we'll try a few on our own before we head into Pear Deck. Except you will not be going into Pear Deck right after these. You'll go into your independent practice. So from a table, we can find the y-intercept from when x is 0. So if I were to say, what is the y-intercept of this table? My answer would be 2. So we can say the y-intercept equals 2. Right here, when x is 0. Find the y-intercept from the graph. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Each box here is worth 1. We are down 1. Remember, the y-axis is this vertical axis, so that value right there is -1. So my y-intercept is -1. From an equation, when the equation has y by itself, when it's solved for y, it's the number without the variable. It's simply just this 4 right here, and that's a +4. So my y-intercept for that equals 4. And then from a story, a youth sports team charges a $50 sign-up fee and then $25 per month. So what was the initial or original amount? What was the starting amount they had to pay? And it was that $50 sign-up fee. Okay, so 4 different ways. Again, from a table, when x is 0, that is your y-intercept. On a graph, you find where it crosses your vertical y-axis. In an equation, it's the number without the variable when it's solved for y. And then from your story problem, it is that starting point, that initial starting place. All right, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 problems for you to do. Give it your best shot. Tell me what your y-intercept is for each, and then come back and pause me when you're ready to check your answers. Or sorry, pause me and begin, come back when you're ready to check. Alrighty, so for the graph, it's crossing my axis right here, and that is at a value of 1. For number 2, it was crossing right down here, and that value was -4. My y-intercept from an equation is the number without the variable. So in this case, it would be -5. In my table, we're looking for when x is 0. So when x is 0, my y-intercept was 4,500. Let me write that with a different hand. 4,500. And then you might have said 15, but be careful. Again, remember, it's when x is 0. This number right here is y is 0. And then lastly, to thaw a specimen stored at -25 degrees Celsius, the temperature of a refrigeration tank is raised 5 degrees Celsius every hour. The temperature in the tank after X hours can be described by this function. So again, you can do this two ways here. You can pull it from the equation. The number without the variable is the negative 25. Or you can say the specimen is starting at negative 25 degrees Celsius. So either way you look at it, for the y-intercept from the story problem, we get negative 25 degrees Celsius. That is what the specimen is starting at. All right, beautiful. Hopefully you did okay. Make sure you have the right answers. If you're confused, try them again. I want you to go ahead now and work on these independent practice problems. For these first three, you're just telling me the y-intercept, and then we get into y-intercept and the slope, so things we were doing yesterday. And as a reminder, I tell you how to find your slope up here. Take your 2 points, find your rise, find your run, and then write it as rise over run. And then from the tables, take the first 2 points, so like these two right here, label them x1, y1, x2, y2, plug them in, and then solve. So use this to help you for your slope if you forgot. And again, you're telling me both the y-intercept and the slope. All right, go ahead and get that started. Send me a message when you finish your IP and your mastery check so I can come check your work. Have a great day.